rabbis are teaching Torah specifically to Christians. This spiritual symbiosis between religious Jews and Christians is truly unprecedented. How do you think modern day Israel played a role in bringing about this relationship, this symbiotic relationship? And what role do you think Israel, and specifically Jerusalem, will play in how this relationship develops?
First of all, I will say thank you for inviting me and having me here today. And I feel very honored to be on this panel with really honored people and together with all of you. I came from Norway. I left Norway yesterday and came to Jerusalem with my rental car 4 in the morning today. So I hope I will be able to keep my focus. Modern day Israel, yes. I will start to tell about my aunt, because my aunt went to Israel for the first time when I was 1 year old. That was in 1976. And I only knew that she went there. I didn't know why she went to Israel and what was her motivation. So I called her up before this conference because I thought it could be interesting to know. And she said since she was a little girl and went to Sunday school and hear about all the Bible stories, she had a desire to go to Israel. And 9 years after Jerusalem was delivered and got back on Jewish hands, she was able to fulfill her dream. And she told, even if this is more than 40 years ago, she could remember every single thing. And she told me with so much enthusiasm about her trip 40 years ago. And she went to the temple, not the Temple Mount, but she went to the Kotel. She went to all the holy places in Jerusalem. And when she came back, I have still a necklace she brought when I was 1 year old. She also brought things from Israel. She took, back then there were no cell phones, things like that, so she brought slides. And she went around to friends and family and congregations and showed this, because you couldn't go into internet and just Google Israel or Jerusalem back then. So I believe that the modern Israel have had huge impact on the Christian world, because then we finally could see what is this land. And those who went to Israel came back with pictures, with stories, and this was very useful to change the image of what Israel and the Jews was. And another thing that have changed it very much, and we also was talking about outside here before, it's about the replacement theology. And that is, I think, the main thing that have changed and have made huge changes. I have a story from Norway, and I think that is an example that can be found in many other countries around the world. Because since the 1920s, we had a professor at the theological faculty in Oslo. His name was Professor Ola Hallesby. And as long as he was the professor until the State of Israel was established, he told his students and other people he went around and spoke with that the old covenant with the Jews was no longer effective. It was replaced by a new one, and the physical Israel was replaced by the spiritual Israel. That Israel would never get their land back. Israel, as God's chosen people, was come to an end, and also the old covenant. He said that an Israeli state on biblical ground was for all time gone. And he was studying all the priests that went out and lead the Christian congregations in Norway. And you can think the huge impact this had for all the Christian people in Norway. After the establishing of the Jewish state, he was so humble that he actually went out and apologized. But still the damage was done. So I think for the replacement theology, that the state of Israel and that Jerusalem went back on Jewish hands was crucial. Aviana? So since that, together with a lot of other things, I think the social media have done a lot of things. I think the globalizing of the world, that we travel much more. We come and see. We send out emails. We send out snaps. We are on Facebook. Israel is no longer just a distant place that you don't have the money to go there. It's too dangerous to travel over there. It's easy to access, and it's more easy to change people's mind because you get the information. And slowly, slowly, the people that woke up from the replacement theology, they understand, and here is something else. Here's something more, and they start to study the Bible. They start to went to Israel, and they find out another truth. They found out another reality. And like a friend said, today we see so many people waking up. You have different kind of movements, like the Messianic movement, the Hebrew root movement, but all of them is that they try to put the replacement theology aside. Still, the the replacement theology is so strong in our mind, but slowly, slowly, we are walking another direction. So I absolutely think that the modern day Israel played a huge role for doing this book that you said, The Light from Zion, where 12 Orthodox rabbi is teaching Torah specifically to pro-Israel Christians.
Okay, thanks very much, Britt. That's amazing.